Hey everybody, welcome back. New season is here, and I'm joined by the amazing Shyo. Shyo, you are obviously, one of the best casters we have in the scene. You play a lot as well. You told me you've been playing some arena. You've been doing some things to some pro players. Let me know, Shyo the caster, how are you feeling about Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 4 right now?
Bro, hypest chapter I think to date since my feelings for like season five, like season six. Like I'm not gonna lie, back when I used to really grind the game. Season four for me is just like a breath of fresh air. A bunch of different stuff in the game right now in terms of loot pool. The map hasn't changed as much, but I feel like that will change across the season. You probably have a few questions for that afterwards, but in general, right now, I'm liking season four from a content perspective pre FNCS.
Mm. So, especially like you said with the content, there's a bunch of things that have been unvaulted, right? Especially, a bunch of things that we would have used back in those days, like you said, when you were enjoying the game most. One of the biggest things I think that I've like been paying attention to is like the changes in the shotgun meta. Like the first time we've not had the tech in the game. Combat's back, bear in mind it's a bit weaker. Shotgun play is going to be really interesting this season. How do you think, pros are going to be able to adjust to that in terms of everyone's been begging from the pump back, but, you're going to see people using the combat, people still using the charge. What do you think is going to happen with that?
Here's what I see with the combat situation, or just the shotgun situation. For combat specifically, there's like a very niche amount of players, even less, I would say, pro players who enjoy that weapon and prefer it over the other two. I feel like it's a little bit maybe placebo that, in terms of what they did when it was out during season 9 and whatnot. I feel like no matter what, this is how the shotgun meta gets broken down. If you find a pump, you keep a pump. If you find a charge, you side grade to a pump. And if you find a combat, you're looking for a pump somewhere trying to drop it. If the pump's in the game, you're rolling with it. You only get a charge if there's not enough time to side grade, and you're stuck with a combat if you can't find anything else. But I don't know why anyone else would pick up anything other than the pump. It feels really good to use.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I think everyone's sort of missed. It was one of the things everyone was begging for last season. People do seem to be really, high on the season so far. Are you, though, however, concerned about, the fact that there are still some things in the game where I'm a bit, questionable, right? Obviously, crash pads are one big thing that I personally wanted to see be removed for the sake of competitive. Are you still a bit wary of these things, or are you kind of just hoping that, we're in that, what's it called, examination period? Epic said, they did say, right, the stuff at the start of the season isn't necessarily going to be there in competition. What do you make of that?
I'm pretty sure everyone knows right now that crash pads, in general, they add possibly a little bit to lag. In terms of like, or just dial it back a bit or roll it back. You talk about that examination period. Everything but nades is being shared between both the modes. With some things having less frequency in arena, like helicopters and cars. And I think they know that nades attribute to lag a lot, through various tests and whatnot. So that's why they're 100% not in arena. But I feel like these items are going to be tested for the next 2 weeks. Choppers included, cars included. A lot of people are against the crash pads. I am too, just because of how volatile they are, or not volatile, but like how dynamic they can be at just not even ruining someone's game, but changing the pace with no counterplay, right? Like the box dives, I have an issue with. They're a very common item. Shockwaves are an issue too. They're not as easy to box dive with though. You can easily see it coming and set stuff up for it. Past that, like they are a bit invasive, but in Season X, like people got around them, and I feel like you need a little bit of a pizzazz weapon or utility that's not as invasive and uncounterable as crash pads, or as like buggy sometimes. So I like that aspect of it, but when it comes to like cars, everything like that, I feel like cars themselves are good. They don't really, I'm not going to see people getting run over really and counter them up pretty bad. They seem like invasive mobility. Hot take, I hope they stay in the game. But I just feel like in general, we're in that examination period. I want them to take certain things out. You pointed out, like, where's your head at with all of it, if it's not or whatnot. We've been bombarded before with crazier changes than keeping the crash pads in, right? Yeah. I'll be used to it. Still be disappointed though if the right stuff, I think, is not taken out in terms of the loot pool.
No, 100%. I feel you on that one. Where you are a caster, where you do, cover the action, you're watching, a lot of players play. You get the pleasure of watching a bunch of, professional players from all different regions. Is there anyone who, you know, you're really excited to see coming into the season? Obviously, last season we had a couple players who, you know, we would say by their standards underperformed, and you know they attributed that to, you know, no pump being in the game. Famous names would be Micho, Kiriashi, etc. Is there anyone that you're really excited to see this season? Really excited to cast over?
For me, I just want to see the Bizzle come back and Bizzle in the team mode pop off for trios and NA. I know we're a little bit EU over here, but I really want to see how Savage, Benji, Lecce, like that hot trio. And I know a lot of people will base them by default, but like just carrying over from a different meta to this one, and especially one where I feel like in Season X, in terms of just Benji in general, I feel like Mongrel did so much for the identity for that trio when it came to doing damage, when it came to starting fights and ending fights. And that factor is not there with him. So I want to see how he plays with these two players. And at the same time, I'm just excited to see all these guys get back to team modes. And the biggest thing I'm excited for is just to learn all this new stuff, man. Like there's 40 different fish names I gotta get down. There's gonna be, we'll talk about it a bit more. I feel like more mythics coming too, and I gotta get every single mythic item down now too. It's not just a charged shotgun with a variant. It's gauntlets and a freaking like orb that you throw at people that burn stuff. So I got to learn the names. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, and I'm happy you mentioned that. Right, obviously, you know, we have the new mythics in the game. The old mythics are gone, thank the Lord. And same with the fish, right? I feel like, especially with the fish, you know, where pros have just been kind of W keen to try get to max arena points or try get up the leaderboard, get to champs. I feel like people haven't been experimenting with the fish enough, right? Obviously, there's great content already out. I know Destiny Jesus, he talked about in his, you know, new season video about all the fish. I'm really excited to see how they play in, right? We have the hop fish where you can, you know, use it as kind of a movement rotational item. We have the thermal one, which I saw Arab using it in endgame, and it looks like it has potential to be, you know, a really good kind of resource for getting refreshes. And then we have the spicy fish, which is almost like a pepper. I'm really happy about the variants that they've added when it comes to making fishing more useful. And that means the flopper meta is essentially back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I'll let you go on that one.
I'll go with that one. In terms of the fish specifically, what I'm seeing is not going to be too much change, honestly. Like once again, I feel like the power is going to be in the mythics, even though these fish are here. Like there's other things that I think people will start to carry, and the fish will be like a side piece. And I feel like they're also pretty balanced, which is why they're gonna go unnoticed. I feel like floppers will kind of make a return, but with the amount of, you know, mythic damage, and we've seen it from last season, how much one item in one slot can affect an entire end game. Now we have 4 different ones to get distracted by, right? We have or as of right now, both of Dr. Doom's mythic items. We've got the Silver Surfer surfboard. We've got that Groot little baller. But there's a bunch of things that I feel like will draw attention away from those fish. And the fish, too, in terms of trios, I know there's a little bit of downtime and you can get them. I just don't know whether you'd want to even carry thermals into an end game where it's commotion, it's chaotic, you're playing passive for yourself in an FNCS, right? Hold up, give me 1 sec. Someone just raided and my audio changed. But anyways, when it comes to like the rest of the fish, it's just, are they more worth than a crash pad? Are they more worth than shockwave nades or shields? Yeah. Even though they do offer shields, right? If I pop open a chest, or maybe 2 or 3, I might get max minis. If I fish 4 holes, I might not get the same fish that I can stack. I think that's an issue with 40 different fish now. You're gonna have less of a variance and a chance of getting floppers. So that's one thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. I really want to see some top level scrims coming back. I'm sure we'll start to see them in the next coming days. When it comes to how pros will be able to adjust to this, right, on a region to region basis, last season with solos, I think, you know, people, when it came to the end results of the FNCS especially, people were a bit disappointed with how NA East turned out. As much as I'm an EU boy, everyone knows me, I'll champion EU all day long. When it comes to the team modes, NA East are at the very top of my eyes. I think, you know, over in NA, you guys get things right, fast and quick. I'd like to see that be replicated this season, but at the same time, where we are not aware necessarily of what, you know, modes we're going to have, what, you know, tournaments will have, what the schedule's going to be like. I'm sure that'll come out soon. do you think that the way you guys have scrims and all that set up so well is going to benefit you in that sense, or are you expecting to maybe still see a lack of performance on NA side?
I think the biggest issue with the last FNCS for NA, and I'm not sure if it happened in EU, but people omitted and chose not to even play the FNCS. Like some big names like AV, Shark and Knight sometimes too. We're just not there on a few weekends, right? And that's kind of weird. And that's also not to those players, but just as a viewer, right? Like, where are these big names? Did they not qual? What's the story? When it comes to team modes, man, like, you got support, you got the better mental as well. And all the stories are active all the time, I feel like. We're not sure totally what the format's going to be, how things are going to work in the next FNCS, but I guarantee with the practice we have set up, the stories will be hot again. You talked a little bit about EU versus NA. I just feel like the issue with EU is that there's not enough accessibility to everyone's story from a casual standpoint, right? I can't just tune in to actually stream 24/7. But in NA, there's so many people streaming all the time, and it's those streams, man. It's not even just YouTube. It's those viewing parties, those streams of these NA players while they're ranking up, switching trios, that really pull the flavor in, right? And for trios, like that's everyone's in there. Everyone loves that. So I feel like for NA, it'll be a hot grand finals, and it'll be a hot opens and semis 24/7 as well. It'll just be a fast race.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to watch it. Shyo, thank you very much for joining me today. Super excited to see you hopefully casting on the main broadcast and doing more work. We appreciate it as a community. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed the video, guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Go follow Shyo on Twitter. Link will be in the description below. See you guys all next time.